Welcome to my channel. Do you feel nervous or shy when speaking English? You're definitely not alone. Many learners feel the same way, unsure and hesitant. But here's the good news. Even if you're shy, you can learn to speak English confidently. In this video, I'll guide you step by step, showing exactly how to start a conversation. Even if you feel scared, nervous, or unsure of the right words, you'll see it's much easier than you think. Stay with me until the end, and you'll be surprised. Also, I want to hear from you. Share in the comments what scares you the most about speaking English, and let's face those fears together. Chapter 1, I was too shy to say hello. I remember standing in the crowded hallway, frozen and anxious. Two students were laughing together in English, confident and carefree. I desperately wanted to join, but my lips refused to move. My heart raced wildly and my hands felt icy. My mind screamed, "Say something." Yet no sound came out. I looked down, swallowed my fear, and slowly walked away, feeling powerless and frustrated. I knew some English words already. I could say, "Hi," or "My name is," but fear made my voice vanish. That simple word felt like a massive mountain blocking me completely. In class, I was okay. Listening, reading, and writing. Speaking aloud terrified me. I never raised my hand, and I avoided reading when the teacher looked my way, hoping to remain invisible. I became an expert at hiding and blending in. Inside, I longed to speak, laugh, and make friends, but every time I tried, fear gripped me and froze all my words instantly. I watched others speak effortlessly, copied sentences into my notebook, and practiced silently. Yet when it was my turn, my mind went blank, and my voice completely disappeared without warning. I felt as though I lived in two separate worlds. In my head, I could speak, joke, and smile easily. In reality, I stayed silent, watching others while yearning to join. Fear kept returning constantly. Fear of mistakes. Fear of being laughed at. Fear of forgetting words mid-sentence. Because of that fear, I stayed quiet, hiding behind a protective wall of silence. One break, a boy from another class approached me and said, "Hi." I froze completely, wanting to reply. My voice disappeared again, so I just smiled nervously and slowly walked away. That night, I cried, feeling weak, frustrated, and embarrassed. One tiny word, hello, seemed impossible. I realized I needed change. I couldn't keep running away from speaking English forever. I told myself firmly, it's okay to be shy, but staying silent is not. I made a small plan, take tiny steps, practice daily, and try even if I wasn't perfect yet. That evening, I stood before the mirror, whispering hello softly first, then gradually louder, repeating it 10-20 times. My voice grew stronger. My lips moved with more confidence and courage began forming inside. I imagined speaking to someone, "Hi, my name is Sam." I smiled, waved, and tried to look confident. Silly or funny, it didn't matter. I was preparing for real-life conversations. The next morning, my goal was simple. Greet just one person. My heart pounded loudly. My hands shook nervously, but I remembered my mirror practice and took a deep, steady breath before speaking. I saw a classmate, looked them in the eyes, and said, "Hi." They paused briefly, then smiled warmly. "Hi." That tiny exchange felt enormous, a small yet powerful breakthrough that changed my confidence. That single hello gave me courage, pride, and hope. I was still shy, still nervous, but I had finally started. One word had opened a door to new possibilities and personal growth. I learned an essential lesson: you don't need fluency or complex words to begin speaking. Courage is enough. One simple hello can start a conversation, a connection, and a new story. If you feel shy, silent, or scared, I understand completely. I was there too. Change is possible. Start with one word. Just say hi and take your first step toward confidence today. Step by step, I'll show you how I practiced, what strategies worked for me, and maybe it will help you too. One tiny word can truly change everything in your English journey. Chapter 2, I wanted to speak, but my mind went blank. After saying hi the day before, I felt a small spark of confidence. Maybe I could speak more tomorrow. Maybe I could actually start a conversation without fear. The next morning, I walked to school carrying a tiny plan in my heart. I promised myself I would try one more sentence, just one, "How are you?" I repeated it countless times before leaving home, whispering, softly saying it in my head, imagining someone listening. I wanted my mouth to remember the words even if my brain panicked. But when I saw a familiar face in the hallway, my mind completely emptied. The sentence disappeared. My lips refused to move and my heart raced as I froze silently. The person passed by without noticing me. My small chance had vanished. I felt frustrated, angry, and powerless. How could 3 tiny words feel so impossible to say? That day I learned something essential. Speaking English is not only about knowing words. Fear blocks the mind, hides the language, and freezes every word you have memorized. Fear whispers, "Stay quiet. Don't make mistakes. Don't risk embarrassment." And I listened to it, letting my courage vanish, letting my practice go to waste. I felt trapped. Later I went home and reflected deeply. I remembered the sentence, "How are you?" Clearly my mind understood, but in the real moment, nerves took control and silenced me completely. I realized why I forgot words. I was nervous shy and chasing perfection. I wanted every sentence to be flawless, so my fear stopped me from speaking entirely. I decided to change that mindset. I told myself it's okay to forget. It's okay to be nervous. I will keep trying no matter what. Courage became a choice, not a feeling. That night I practiced again in front of the mirror. I said, "How are you?" followed by, "I'm fine, thank you." And you? The sentences felt like a soft song I repeated endlessly. The next morning I felt more prepared. I reminded myself perfection isn't necessary. Trying is what matters. I saw a classmate smiled and said, "Hi." The simple greeting gave me courage. He replied, "Hi." Then I managed, "How are you?" My mouth moved without overthinking. He smiled back, "I'm good." "You?" I hesitated, then said good. Short, imperfect, but real conversation. I was proud. My heart still raced, but I had spoken. I hadn't frozen. That moment taught me when fear attacks your brain and mouth must be trained to work together bravely. Repetition became my secret. I said sentences 10, 20 times until they flowed naturally. Saying them once wasn't enough. My words had to become water smooth and effortless through practice. I learned to slow down. Speaking fast caused mistakes. Speaking slowly made me calmer, more confident. I whispered to myself, "Slow is okay. Slow is strong." This small change made a huge difference. Mistakes still happened. I forgot words, mispronounced others, yet I smiled and kept speaking. People noticed my effort. They listened, encouraged me, and returned smiles. Each conversation strengthened my courage. Even if my sentences were short, they were authentic. That was enough. Real English spoken bravely mattered more than perfect grammar. Trying was the true victory, and confidence grew step by step. If your mind goes blank when speaking English, don't worry. Everyone experiences it even now. Forgetting words doesn't stop progress. Smiling, pausing, or saying, "Sorry, I forgot the word," still counts. Speaking isn't about perfection. It's about action. Trying even when empty, trying even when scared, and trying again and again builds strength. Each attempt makes the next one easier. Remember this, if you want to speak English, you will. Keep moving forward. Even when your mind fails, even when your voice shakes, speak anyway. Courage is built one sentence at a time. I am here with you. I will walk you through my journey, show you what worked, and remind you you are never alone. Together, step by step, we can do this. Chapter 3. How I Learned 3 Magic Sentences. After speaking my first words, "Hi" and "How are you?" a small spark ignited inside me. It was faint, but it showed me that I could begin speaking. That evening, I sat with my notebook opening a fresh page. At the top, I wrote, "How to start a conversation." Below it, the lines waited silently blank and full of possibilities. I didn't want complicated grammar rules or long sentences. I only wanted simple, friendly phrases that could help me talk to anyone comfortably without fear or hesitation. I remembered my English teacher once saying that every good conversation begins with three things: a greeting, your name, and a question. That idea stuck in my mind clearly, so I decided to create three simple sentences, my magic sentences. The first was, "Hi, how are you?" The second, "My name is Alex." And the third, "What's your name?" I spoke them aloud slowly. "Hi, how are you?" "My name is Alex. What's your name?" They felt soft, kind, safe, and natural. They weren't intimidating, and that was exactly what I needed. I practiced these three sentences like a song, repeating them morning and night. Sometimes I whispered them while walking. Sometimes I said them in front of the mirror, imagining a friendly conversation. I practiced with different tones, smiling, serious, cheerful, calm. Each time my voice grew stronger, more confident. Each repetition made the sentences feel like tools I could use in real life. These sentences became my keys against silence, my small weapons to start a conversation. I imagined opening doors to new friendships, to real connections that didn't depend on perfect grammar. I waited for the right moment to try them. One afternoon during lunch, a student I didn't know sat next to me. My heart raced, my mouth felt dry, but I remembered my practice. I turned to him and said clearly, "Hi, how are you?" He looked up, smiled, and answered, "I'm good. You?" I nodded, then said confidently, "My name is Alex." "Oh, cool," he said. "I'm Bilal." Then I asked, "What's your name?" Even though he had just told me, we both laughed. The moment was simple but powerful, like a full circle. I had spoken three complete sentences, and he replied. That small exchange was a real conversation, and it gave me confidence I hadn't felt before. It felt like victory. Over the next few days, I practiced again and again. I said, "Hi, how are you?" to teachers. "My name is Alex" to new classmates. "What's your name?" to people in the library. Each time I used these magic sentences, conversations opened naturally. People smiled, responded, and spoke with me. The words were simple, but they carried connection, courage, and human warmth. One day someone asked me, "Where did you learn to speak like this?" I smiled and said, "Just three sentences." They laughed, and I felt proud of how far I had come. I added a note in my notebook. Three magic sentences can open many doors. Every time I wrote it, I felt empowered. These sentences helped me speak first, stop fearing silence, and feel human. If you feel shy and unsure how to start, try this. Write your own three magic sentences. Repeat them 10 times a day to the wall mirror, or even a stuffed animal. What matters is that your mouth learns the words. What matters is that your fear shrinks. You don't need perfect grammar or a huge vocabulary. You only need courage to begin. Even now, when I meet someone new, I still say, "Hi, how are you?" It never feels stale. It always works. It's a simple way to say, "I'm here. I want to talk." And if you are watching this now, I want you to try it. Say the first sentence out loud, wherever you are right now. Just say it. "Hi, how are you?" Don't worry if no one is there to answer. This is your first step, your small action that begins your journey toward real conversation, courage, and confidence in speaking English. Next, we will go deeper. What if you want to speak more? What if you want a real chat, not just a greeting? That is what I will show you in the next part. Chapter 4. I practiced alone in my room and it worked. After learning my three magic sentences, I felt excited and encouraged. Saying, "Hi, how are you?" was only the first step, but I wanted to expand to talk about small daily things. I longed to ask questions and respond naturally, but practicing with other people every day was impossible. So I discovered a secret. I started speaking to myself aloud or in whispers in my room. At first it felt awkward and strange. I thought, Is this silly? Then I remembered my teacher's advice: if you don't have someone to talk to yourself. That counts as practice too. I stood in front of the mirror, looked at my reflection, and said, "Hi, how are you?" Then I answered, "I'm good. What about you?" Next, I asked, "What's your name?" and replied, "My name is Alex." It became a playful game. I imagined two people talking, asking, and answering. I smiled at myself, made eye contact, and observed how my face moved while I spoke, slowly gaining confidence. Each day after school, I closed my bedroom door, stood in front of the mirror, and created tiny conversations. I imagined talking to new people, asking, "Do you like football?" or "What did you eat today?" Sometimes I practiced sentences from cartoons or short videos. Even though the sentences were simple, they felt real. Repeating them strengthened my voice and made my fear shrink gradually. Other days, I walked around the room describing things I saw. I pointed to my table and said, "This is a table." I looked out the window. The sky is blue. I studied everything around me. I even asked myself questions. "What day is it?" and answered, "It's Monday." "What time is it?" I said, "It's 4 o'clock." This simple habit became fun, safe, and very effective. No one was watching, no one judged me, and no one laughed. It was just me and my English. I could experiment, make mistakes, and learn without feeling embarrassed or nervous. Sometimes I recorded my voice on my phone, repeating sentences and listening carefully. At first, I didn't like how I sounded, but gradually I began to enjoy hearing myself speak clearly in English. I also wrote short imaginary dialogues in my notebook: A, hi, B, hello, A, how are you? B, I'm fine. What about you? I read them aloud, acted both parts, and practiced real conversations safely. Slowly, my confidence grew. One day at a shop with my father, the shopkeeper smiled at us. I smiled and said, "Hi." Without thinking, I added, "How are you?" He replied, "I'm good." That moment was small but meaningful. I felt proud. I realized that my private practice speaking alone in my room had prepared me to communicate naturally in the real world. That night, looking in the mirror, I whispered, "It worked." All my practice worked. My voice felt stronger, my courage was growing, and I knew I could keep building my skills daily. If you feel shy or have no one to speak with, don't worry. You can talk to yourself, your mirror, your books, or simply describe your surroundings out loud. It may feel strange at first, but it is real and helpful. You don't need perfect conditions or a conversation partner. Start now. Even one sentence is progress. When I learn a new word today, I repeat it many times, use it in sentences, and practice until it feels natural. This strengthens your brain and trains your tongue to speak confidently. Remember, every great speaker once practiced alone. Every confident person once stood in front of a mirror and said their first hello. You are not alone. You are on the right path. Keep going. I am here with you. In the next chapter, I will share what happened when I took my practice into real life and had my first actual conversation. It was scary, exciting, and unforgettable. Chapter 5. My first real conversation. I was nervous and shaking, though I had practiced every day in my room. In front of the mirror, I repeated my sentences again and again, building courage slowly and steadily. By now I could say, "Hi, how are you?" without fear. "My name is Alex. What's your name?" My voice felt stronger, my expression more confident. I believed I was ready. Yet a tiny fear remained. Real people, real situations, this was different. I had never had a complete conversation. Only greetings, short lines, no real talk, nothing that felt natural beyond practice. One warm morning, everything changed. I arrived at school early and noticed a new student sitting alone on a bench. He looked nervous, uncertain, like he didn't know anyone at all. My chest tightened, my heart raced, and my legs felt weak. My mind encouraged me. Go talk to him. Fear whispered back. What if you make a mistake? I froze, unsure, but I tried. I looked at him and then down at the ground. Taking a deep breath, I stepped forward. Each movement felt heavy, as if I were walking through water, my hands trembling, my mouth dry. I remembered my mirror practice. I remembered the sentences I had rehearsed countless times. I squared my shoulders, looked at him, and said clearly, "Hi." He looked up and smiled. "Hi." My heart raced, but I smiled back. Then I said, "How are you?" His reply was simple. "I'm okay," I answered. "I'm fine," and added, "My name is Alex. What's your name?" He said, "I'm Iran." Just like that, it happened, my first full, real conversation in English. It was short, simple, but it was real. I had connected, and it felt wonderful. I sat beside him and asked, "Is this your first day?" He nodded. "Yes, I'm new here," I replied. "Don't worry, I can help you." He smiled again. I felt proud and more alive than ever. Fear was still there, but smaller. My hands trembled slightly, yet I had spoken. I had taken the step I had been dreaming of, starting a real conversation, breaking through my old silence. That day, everything felt different. I walked into class with more confidence, raised my hand, smiled at others. It was like something inside me had shifted. I felt braver, lighter, alive. Later, Iran joined me at lunch. He said, "Thanks for talking to me this morning." I was nervous. I laughed, me too. We both laughed and understood each other without needing perfect words. Small talk transformed into friendship. We spoke English, daily made mistakes, laughed, helped each other. Each conversation made me stronger, more confident, and gradually more fluent. My courage grew with every word. That's when I understood something very important. Speaking English is not about using big words. It's about connection, about bravery, about starting even with just a few simple sentences and a smile. You don't need perfect grammar or a perfect accent. You only need a brave heart, a few friendly words, and the willingness to speak. That first conversation is the hardest, but it changes everything. If you're watching this and feeling scared, I understand. I was scared too, but I did it, and so can you. Your hands may shake, your heart may race, but courage comes from action. After that first conversation, you will feel proud, strong, and ready to try again. Just go out, say hi, ask a question, listen to the answer, and keep speaking. That's how it begins. When you are ready, return for the next part. I will share how mistakes, words said wrong, sentences forgotten, helped me grow, building confidence instead of stopping me, teaching me to be brave in English. Chapter 6. Mistakes that made me brave. After my first real conversation with Iran, I felt proud and excited. I wanted to speak more, greet more people, and ask small questions. English began feeling alive, not scary anymore. Soon I made my first noticeable mistake. I wanted to say, "I like reading books," but I said I like reading boots. My classmate looked puzzled and laughed. I laughed too, but inside I felt embarrassed. That evening, sitting on my bed, I reflected. Books and boots sounded similar, but they meant very different things. At first I thought, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I should stop speaking. Then I asked myself, honestly, did I die? Did anyone get angry? No. I tried. That was enough. I said, it's okay. I tried, and that is what matters. My fear began to shrink. The next day, I made another mistake. He go to school. My friend gently corrected me. You mean he goes to school? I nodded quickly. Mistakes weren't scary. They were lessons in disguise. I realized something important. Each mistake helped me remember the correct sentence more clearly. Every error made learning stronger. Before I thought mistakes made me look foolish, but now I saw they were teachers. I stopped hiding from errors. I repeated sentences correctly. When someone corrected me, I smiled and said thank you. Mistakes became tools showing me where to improve, guiding me gently toward progress. One day, I said I'm boring. My friend laughed kindly. You mean I'm bored? I asked. What's the difference? She explained, and I laughed, realizing mistakes can teach both grammar and joy. That moment stayed with me. Real funny, helpful. Every mistake became a small victory, a chance to learn. I practiced, smiled, repeated, and my confidence slowly grew alongside my vocabulary. Now when I talk to people, I don't fear errors. I speak, I fix, I smile, I learn. Courage comes from action, not perfection. Every mistake is proof that I am trying. Even native speakers make mistakes. Teachers forget words. I still make tiny errors now, yet I continue speaking. Speaking is not about flawless words. It's about bravery, persistence, and learning through doing. I even created a mistake notebook. I wrote my wrong sentences, then corrected them next to the errors. Each time I read it, I smiled, seeing my progress and small victories lining up like steps. Once speaking to a tourist, I said, "It is rain today." She smiled. "It's raining today." I nodded, thanked her, and continued talking. That moment taught me that most people help not laugh. Mistakes are not failures. They are stepping stones. They are proof of effort. Each error brings you closer to fluency. Each small misstep builds your confidence and makes speaking real, natural, and enjoyable. If you feel afraid to speak because you might say something wrong, take a deep breath and let go of that fear. Mistakes are friends. Speak, mess up, learn, repeat. That is how we grow. In the next chapter, I will show you something powerful, simple, real-life phrases that helped me talk every day. I call them conversation starters. They are easy, fun, and they really work. Chapter 7. Conversation starters. I use every day. After learning from my mistakes, I started to feel different. Fear wasn't controlling me anymore. I didn't have to wait for others to speak first. I could begin conversations myself. But one question stayed in my mind. What should I say next? I didn't want to just say hi and stop. I wanted real conversations to make friends and connect. I discovered something important: conversation starters. Small, simple, friendly questions that open the door to speaking. They are easy to ask, easy to answer, and show genuine interest in others. The first time I tried one, I saw a classmate drawing quietly in his notebook. I walked over, slowly smiled, and asked, "Do you like drawing?" He looked up and replied, "Yes, I love drawing." I added, "Your drawing is really good." He smiled wider and said, "Thanks." That small question led to a real conversation, short but meaningful. One question created connection. That evening, I opened my notebook and wrote down my first question. "Do you like?" Then I added more: music, football, pizza, school. These questions were simple but powerful, friendly, and easy to answer. The next day, I tried another one. I asked a girl in class, "What's your favorite subject?" She said, "Math." I replied, "Really, I like English." We smiled, started talking, and became friends. I wrote that down too. "What's your favorite?" Then I added movies, colors, food. I realized something powerful: people love to talk about themselves. A good question invites them to share. When they answer, you listen and can follow up with another small question. That's how a conversation flows naturally. I practiced every question in front of the mirror to feel confident. I didn't memorize dozens of questions, just 5 or 6. I repeated them often, saying them out loud, imagining real situations. This repetition made them feel natural and easy to use. One day at the park, I saw a boy kicking a football. I walked closer and asked, "Do you like football?" He smiled. "Yes." I asked, "Who's your favorite team?" He said, "Barcelona." I said, "Mine is Real Madrid." We laughed, talked, and played together. One small, simple question had started the connection. That's the power of conversation starters. Now I use these every day: at school, in the market, in the library, on the phone, even online. They are part of my English toolkit. They make me confident. If you don't know what to say when meeting someone, start small. You don't need long sentences or perfect grammar. One question, one smile, and you are already connecting. Here are 5 to remember. Do you like music? What's your favorite food? Where are you from? What do you do on weekends? Do you have any brothers or sisters? Practice them. Say them in the mirror, say them aloud, or ask your friends. These are your keys, your tools, your voice. They give you power and courage to speak. If someone doesn't answer, it's okay. Try again with someone else. Every attempt is practice. Every conversation builds confidence. You are learning, growing, and doing something meaningful with every word. In the next chapter, I'll show you how to go further, how to keep a conversation going after the first question. What do you say next? How do you continue talking? We will explore that together step by step so your English becomes natural, confident, and real. Chapter 8. How to keep a conversation going. After learning how to start a conversation, I felt a new sense of pride. I could confidently approach someone and ask simple questions like, "Do you like music?" or "What's your favorite subject?" At first, people answered and smiled, which felt amazing. But soon, I realized a bigger challenge after the first question. I often froze, unsure how to continue the conversation naturally. The moment ended too quickly. I wanted to say more, but my mind went blank. I kept thinking about saying the wrong thing and feared making a mistake. It felt like turning the key in a car, but not knowing how to drive. I needed a plan. That evening, I asked myself, how can I keep the conversation going after the first question? I studied simple conversations online and in books. Then I discovered two powerful ways to continue. First, ask a small follow-up question, and second, share something about yourself in return. I wrote these two strategies in my notebook and decided to practice them. The first step, follow-up questions, could be as simple as, "Really, why, when?" or "Tell me more." Even small words can be powerful. They show you are listening, interested, and ready to keep the conversation flowing naturally without fear or awkward silence. At school, I tried it. I asked a boy, "What's your favorite sport?" He said cricket. I followed with, "Oh, nice. Why do you like cricket?" He smiled and explained, "It's fun. I play every weekend." I responded, "Really? That's great. Where do you play?" The conversation kept going easily. Using follow-up questions gave the exchange life. I felt amazed at how simple words can work. Next, I practiced the second step, talking about myself. After the other person speaks, you add your own experience. Sharing a little helps build connection and makes the talk feel real. For example, "Do you like pizza?" "Yes." "Me too. I like cheese pizza the most." Now the person knows something about me, and the conversation naturally flows without pressure or fear. Sometimes I combined both strategies. "Do you have any pets?" she said. "Yes, I have a cat," I replied. "Really, what's its name?" Then I added, "I don't have a pet, but I like cats." Suddenly, the conversation became longer, friendlier, and more natural. Adding small words like, "Wow, that's nice," or "Oh, I didn't know." That makes people feel valued and encourages them to respond. I realized something important. You don't need to talk constantly. Listening, nodding, smiling, or saying small words is enough to maintain a meaningful, friendly conversation. When I didn't know what to say, I nodded, smiled, or asked, "What happened next?" Listening carefully often creates opportunities to speak naturally without pressure or awkward pauses. Soon I could maintain a conversation for 1 minute, then 3, then 5. I felt proud and confident. Conversations stopped being scary and became opportunities to connect and enjoy. One teacher noticed and asked, "You're speaking so well now." "What changed?" I smiled and said, "I just kept going step by step." And that is the truth. Confidence grows through consistent action. Speaking isn't about using complicated words. It's about small steps. One question, one answer, one smile, repeated again and again. That repetition builds courage and fluency naturally over time. If your conversations end too soon, don't worry. Follow these two strategies. Ask follow-up questions and add something about yourself. Practice with friends, family, or even in front of a mirror. Ask a question. Listen carefully. Respond, then ask again. Treat it like a game. Each small exchange strengthens your ability to speak naturally, calmly, and confidently in real situations. In the next chapter, I will share something inspiring, how these tiny conversations gradually transformed me into a more social, open, and brave person, changing my life one small step at a time. Chapter 9. From silent to social, my confidence grows. I still remember those quiet days, sitting alone while others laughed and talked. English felt like an unscalable wall, and I believed I would never be able to speak like them. Back then, I was shy and scared. Every word felt heavy. I doubted myself constantly, but now everything had changed. I had learned how to start a conversation step by step. I had learned how to keep conversations going. I had made mistakes and kept speaking anyway. I had asked questions, smiled, listened, and tried again. Slowly, I began to feel different. At school, I started talking more. I no longer waited for someone else to speak first. I said hi with a smile and asked, "How was your day?" It felt natural and safe. I joined small group discussions. At first, I only listened. Then I spoke one sentence, then two. I laughed with my classmates. Slowly, I became part of the group, no longer invisible. One afternoon, a teacher sat near me during break. She said, "You speak so well now. You were so quiet before." What happened? I smiled and remembered my first tiny steps. I realized I had changed. I was no longer the shy boy sitting alone. I was no longer afraid to speak. I was showing up, speaking up, and feeling strong every day. I even began helping other shy students. I told them, "It's okay. I was just like you. Try saying this sentence." I shared my 3 magic sentences and encouraged practice in front of the mirror. I told them to make mistakes to speak anyway. I saw myself in them, and in giving them hope, I reminded myself of my own journey. Small acts of sharing strengthened my confidence too. One afternoon, my friend Imran and I walked home. He said, "You talk so much now. I remember the first time you said hi. You were so quiet." I laughed, my hands shaking, but I felt proud. We laughed together, and I realized it was a full circle moment. Speaking had become natural. My confidence wasn't because I was perfect, but because I had taken countless small steps every day. I began participating in school events, reading a poem, telling a story, even saying thank you on stage. My hands still shook sometimes, but I stood tall and spoke. The applause boosted my courage. English became part of my daily life. I watched cartoons, listened to songs, wrote small notes, and spoke aloud to myself. I even started dreaming in English, smiling in my sleep, fearless in the dream. That night, I woke up smiling. I told myself, "You did it. You changed, and you can do it too." Silence is temporary. With small steps, anyone can become brave and social. Start with one sentence, one smile, one question. Then another and another. Speak in your room in front of a mirror with a friend or even a stranger. Every word builds courage. Speaking opens doors, changes how people see you, and transforms how you see yourself. From silent to social. This was my journey. It can be yours too, one step at a time. In the final chapter, I will share one last, most important message. If you remember just one thing from this video, let it be this: you can speak too. Just start small. Chapter 10. You can speak too. Just start small. Now that you've heard my story, I want to leave you with one very important message. You can speak too. It doesn't matter where you are starting from. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you make. What matters is that you keep going every single day. Step by step, word by word, you will see real progress in yourself. I began as someone who couldn't even understand English fully. I was scared, shy, and afraid to speak. I didn't know how to join conversations or say simple words. But here I am today, speaking to you, sharing my story, and showing what I've learned. If I can do it, so can you. You just need to start. Fear is normal. Everyone feels it. Even the people you admire were once exactly where you are now. They were once afraid, but they didn't give up. Neither should you. The key is to start small. You don't need to speak perfectly or be fluent right away. No one expects that. One small step, one word, or one sentence is enough. Don't worry about mistakes. Every mistake is a lesson. Every time you speak, your confidence grows. Each small attempt makes the next one easier. Practice is more powerful than perfection. Soon, you will speak without thinking. You will share your thoughts, ask questions, and use new words naturally. Speaking will become part of your daily life, just like it did for me. Remember, no matter how quiet or nervous you feel now, you have the power to change. You can learn, grow, and become brave. It all starts with one simple choice. So today, take that first step. Say one sentence in English. Maybe it's good morning. Maybe it's introducing yourself. Maybe it's reading a sentence out loud. Just speak. Make it a habit. Speak to yourself. Speak in front of a mirror. Speak with a friend. The more you speak, the stronger your English will become and the braver you will feel. Ask for help when you need it. Your teacher friends, or even me, can support you. No one expects you to know everything. Courage comes from trying, not from being perfect. I was once just like you, afraid, quiet, unsure. But I chose to start small, to keep speaking, to keep practicing. And look where it brought me: confident, connected, and ready to grow. You have everything you need to succeed. Start today, speak, and keep going. Each word is a step forward, each sentence builds courage, and every conversation opens new doors. If this story touched your heart, take action. Say one sentence in English right now, then come back tomorrow and add another. Start small, keep going, and watch yourself grow. Please like this video if you believe you can speak English too. Comment one simple sentence in English below. Let's practice together. I will read cheer and celebrate your progress. Don't forget to subscribe. Your English journey is just beginning. I will be here with you every step of the way, guiding, encouraging, and cheering as you grow and speak.